The Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the NHL's most iconic teams, have been linked to Jake Evans, a speedy center for the Montreal Canadiens, according to a well-respected league insider. This speculation gains momentum amidst the challenges faced by the Leafs, whose campaign took a hit following a tough blowout loss to the Florida Panthers, former Stanley Cup champions, last Wednesday. Currently, the team holds a record of 13 wins, 7 losses, and 2 overtime losses. The game against the Panthers highlighted the roster's fragility due to several injuries sidelining key players. Already fielding multiple AHL regulars to fill the gaps, the Leafs lost yet another player as Bobby McMann exited the game with an unspecified lower body injury. In this context, the need for a move in the market is becoming increasingly urgent. Despite the impressive depth shown by the team so far, keeping them in contention for the top spot in the Atlantic Division, the roster strain threatens to undermine this performance. Hockey analyst David Pagnotta discussed on a podcast for the fourth period that Jake Evans could be a target to bolster the Leafs lineup. Evans, 27, has qualities that could address Toronto's current needs. He played a crucial role during the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Finals run 2 years ago, where they faced the Tampa Bay Lightning. Moreover, his affordable $1.7 million cap hit makes him a viable option for teams operating close to the salary cap ceiling. Pagnotta emphasized that Evans could be an excellent addition to strengthen the fourth line for teams aspiring to contend for the Cup, such as the Leafs. While he's a young player with playoff experience and an appealing contract, teams like Toronto and Los Angeles should consider him to enhance their depth, he noted. Adding Evans could provide the Leafs with the balance needed in their offense, particularly given the solid performance of the bottom six when healthy. This season, the addition of Steven Lorentz has already demonstrated how a suitable reinforcement can improve the team's dynamics in the lower lines. It remains uncertain whether Toronto will prioritize Evans or explore other options in the market, but the need for reinforcements is clear. With several players still recovering from injuries, bringing in additional quality could be the key to staying competitive in the coming weeks. For Leafs fans, this potential trade offers hope amid a challenging period. As the team battles to overcome its current difficulties, bringing in a player like Evans could represent a crucial turning point in the season. While trade rumors are common at this time of year, linking Evans to the Toronto Leafs seems to be more than mere speculation. His arrival would not only help fill gaps but also bring the experience of a player who has excelled in critical moments, something that could make all the difference for a team aiming for Stanley Cup glory. The speculation surrounding Jake Evans is not only intriguing but also highlights a broader trend in how the Maple Leafs are approaching their roster challenges. The team has long been criticized for relying too heavily on its star players, and adding depth pieces like Evans could be a sign of a more balanced strategy. Depth has often been the key differentiator for teams that make deep playoff runs, and Evans fits the profile of a player who can quietly but effectively contribute in high-pressure situations. Toronto's need for reinforcements has become increasingly urgent as their schedule intensifies. With several games against divisional rivals looming, every point is critical in the tight Atlantic Division race. The Leafs' ability to stay competitive despite their injuries has been admirable, but without addressing their roster deficiencies, there's a risk of falling behind teams like the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. One factor working in Evans' favor is his versatility. While he's primarily a center, he has experience playing on the wing, offering head coach Sheldon Keefe more flexibility when assembling line combinations. This adaptability could be particularly valuable as the Leafs continue to navigate their injury woes and search for the right chemistry in their bottom six. Evans' playoff pedigree also makes him an appealing option. Having been a part of the Canadiens' unexpected run to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2021, he understands what it takes to compete in the postseason. For a Leafs team that has struggled to translate regular season success into playoff victories, adding players with postseason experience could be a critical step toward overcoming their recent playoff frustrations. Another appealing aspect of Evans is his contract. With a cap hit of just $1.7 million, he fits comfortably within the Leafs' tight salary cap situation. This affordability not only makes him a realistic target but also leaves room for the team to explore additional moves if needed. Toronto's front office has shown a willingness to get creative with a cap, and Evans' manageable deal aligns well with their financial constraints. If the Leafs pursue Evans, it could also signal a willingness to engage in deals with a longtime rival, the Montreal Canadiens. While trades between these two historic franchises are rare, the urgency of Toronto's current situation may outweigh any hesitation to do business with a divisional opponent. Additionally, Montreal's rebuilding phase could make them more open to moving a player like Evans for future assets. Of course, the Leafs front office has to weigh the cost of acquiring Evans. While he may not command a hefty price, Montreal could look for a draft pick or a prospect in return. Toronto's management will need to determine whether the potential impact of Evans on their lineup justifies the asset cost, especially with other potential trade targets available in the market. The potential acquisition of Evans also raises questions about how the Leafs will handle their lineup when injured players begin to return. Would Evans remain a fixture in the bottom six, or would he find himself competing for ice time? The team's depth chart could look significantly different in a few weeks, making this an interesting storyline to follow as the trade deadline approaches. For fans, the idea of bringing in a hardworking, playoff-tested player like Evans is enticing. While he's not a flashy addition, he represents the kind of piece that championship teams often rely on to complement their star power. Players like Evans can provide critical contributions that don't always show up on the scoresheet but make a big difference in the overall success of a team. Whether or not Jake Evans becomes a Maple Leaf, this situation underscores the pressing need for the team to act decisively. With key players still sidelined and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs can't afford to wait too long to address their roster gaps. The coming weeks will be crucial in determining whether this team has what it takes to turn its promising start into a season to remember. The potential addition of Jake Evans also highlights a shift in Toronto's strategy to address its long-standing issues in playoff performance. For years, the Leafs have relied on a top-heavy lineup, often lacking the grit and depth required to endure the rigors of postseason hockey. Evans brings exactly that: a responsible two-way game, playoff experience, and the ability to contribute in tight, high-stakes situations. Moreover, Evans' durability and consistency are attributes that align well with Toronto's current needs. While injuries have disrupted the Leafs' lineup, Evans has proven to be a dependable presence for the Canadiens. His ability to stay healthy and adapt to different roles could provide the stability Toronto desperately needs in their bottom six forward group. Adding Evans could also help to alleviate some of the pressure on Toronto's star players. With injuries forcing the team's top lines to carry even more of the offensive load, fatigue is a growing concern. A player like Evans, who excels in shutting down opposing lines and creating energy on the ice, would allow players like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner to focus on their strengths without overextending themselves defensively. Evans' penalty-killing ability is another significant factor to consider. Toronto's special teams have been solid this season, but injuries have tested their depth in key situations. A versatile forward like Evans, who can step in and contribute to the penalty kill, would provide much-needed insurance and help maintain the team's overall effectiveness. Finally, bringing in Evans could also serve as a signal to the rest of the team, and to Leafs fans, that management is fully committed to making a serious push this season. Even though the team has battled through adversity to remain competitive, adding a player with Evans' qualities would demonstrate a proactive approach to building a roster capable of making a deep playoff run. It would be a move designed not just for the regular season but with the ultimate goal of postseason success in mind. If Jake Evans joins the Maple Leafs, his presence could also boost team morale. Amidst a challenging stretch filled with injuries and lineup adjustments, the arrival of a hard-working, versatile player like Evans could energize both the locker room and the fanbase. His addition would symbolize a refusal to let setbacks define the team's season, reinforcing a culture of resilience. Moreover, Evans' leadership qualities, though subtle, would be valuable in the Leafs' bottom six.